Welcome everybody to the Wholesaling Inc Podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, because we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, and I am telling you, if I can do it, so can you. So let's get started. I am telling you, you need to stop the car, you need to get off the treadmill, you need to get a pen and a pad of paper, and you need to get ready to take notes, because I have with me one of the most proactive, one of the most dynamic, one of the most versatile real estate investors / wholesalers / creative deal maven here with me, Mr. Pace Morby. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's up, brother? Guys, by the way, I'm also a TTP alumni.
That's right.
And you can't leave that out.
Right.
I'm a TTP alumni. I love the TTP family.
Well, listen, you and I, we co-host the Wholesale Hotline every Monday, right? If you guys don't know, every Monday on the Brent Daniels Real Estate YouTube channel and the Pace Morby YouTube channel, we do a live question and answers about all of the different wholesale questions that you have. And on the last one, it really cracked open some incredible instruction that you gave, and I wanted to deep dive it. I wanted to give it some beautiful context, because there's 4 lines that you use consistently that helps you close. How many deals this month?
We did 21 transactions.
21 deals this month.
For September, yeah.
But I mean, this is something that you've been doing for years. This is something that you've honed. This is something that you've been working on. And you know, when you're going on an appointment, you feel bulletproof.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
I feel like Michael Jordan in his prime.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So there's 4 things, and I want to go through this, and then I want to talk a little bit about the way that you schedule your day and the way that you schedule your life and why you schedule it, because I think a lot of people are very interested in the fact that this crazy guy right here wakes up at 3:30 in the morning, goes all day, has multiple businesses, and keeps it all in line. So we'll get to that. So that's just a little teaser, but I want to give the instruction. This whole podcast, the whole reason we put this together is to give people the tools that they can take from listening or watching this. If you want to watch this, if you're just listening to this, go to the Brent Daniels Real Estate YouTube channel. It'll be on there. You got to put a face to a voice. But the main reason that we do this is to give people the tools out there so that they can be successful and realize their real estate investing dreams. But it starts with sourcing deals.
Right, 100%.
Right? So that breaks down into 3 parts: lead generation, conversion, and exit strategy, okay? Or what we call in the wholesaling world, disposition, right? But
the Holy Trinity, guys. That's what it is. It's the Holy Trinity.
It is. That is the 3 legs of the stool that your wholesaling business is built on. But let's not talk about lead generation, because we talk a lot about that with TTP and with different marketing channels and going out there and either buying leads or waiting for them or getting referrals or earning them through being proactive. But we're really talking about on this podcast specifically is converting the leads that we have.
Right.
And it starts with a really important question. When you show up at an appointment, you mentioned that you say right off the bat, catch me up to speed.
Right. So if I could go back in a time machine and talk to myself when I first started in wholesale, I would take everything I learned along the way and condense it into a 2-minute conversation to myself. And that 2-minute conversation would sound something like this. It would say, your job here is not to earn a commission. Your job here is to solve the seller's problem.
Right.
So instead of you trying to talk about the house and the this and the that, you have to realize it's never about the house.
Right.
It's never about any of that stuff. It's the seller as an individual and what they're trying to accomplish. They need to get from one side of the canyon to the other side of the canyon, and you need to build that bridge.
Right.
And ultimately, the questions you ask, the way you structure the conversation is how you build that bridge. Mm-hmm. And when I'm out there showing them I'm building this bridge by asking these questions, the seller is way more likely to go with me than another wholesaler. It's like, well, I'm going to try to negotiate through this used car sales mentality, which I know you don't teach, which is why you and I vibe so much. So I have 4 questions that I commonly ask, and then from that point, there's other questions as it goes forward. But the first question always is catch me up to speed.
So what is that? So Have you talked to these people before? This is something that your team has got. What about, let's just go to somebody that is sourcing their own deals, right? So I've cold called somebody, I've talked to them, I'm meeting with them now, we're going face to face, and I say, well, catch me up to speed, right? Because you can still use it or no?
Always.
Yeah.
I always do that. So even if it's just 3 days later, you talked to them a week ago and you cold called them and they said, yeah, reach back out to me in a couple of days. I always say, catch me up to speed. Right? Why? Because it's an ambiguous, open-ended question. It sometimes also catches the seller off guard. We're like, what do you mean, catch you up to speed? Well, you're in the process of potentially selling your house. So what does that look like? Who have you met with? Why haven't you accepted an offer? Where are you trying to move to? Have you found your next? Catch me up to speed.
Yeah.
And then I let them tell me the whole story of exactly what does that canyon look like that they're trying to bridge. And then I start picking out things that I know I can solve by bringing value back to them.
So we talk about every time that we're talking with a distressed property owner, because this is the important thing, right? There has to be some motivation there. And I know that you are the master of the creative financing deal. So maybe you dip more into, some of these traditional sellers a little bit. But for the most part, we talk about on this podcast, on this show, 6 to 10% of the market is in distress at all times, anywhere around the country. Okay, and that's what we target, right? So these are people that do have that canyon. Right, so they've got some issue there, but they're not necessarily wanting to tell us because they don't know who we are. They need to know. Wait, are they? They're not real estate agents. They're investors. Are they going to come in? Are they going to be fair with me? Are they going to lowball me? Are they going to take advantage of me? All of these things are running through their head as you're talking. And what you do masterfully is you set yourself up as, hey, tell me about how I can help you. Right? I mean, that's essentially the platform that you're working on. And not only that, can I even help you? Am I the right person for helping?
100%.
Right? Because you're putting it on the back foot and you're saying, listen, I'm not going to come in and sell you on working with me.
Right.
I want you to, explain to me the situation that you're in. And if I can help, I'm going to give you some options. And if it feels like it makes sense, then we'll work together.
How do I come in and fit into this puzzle? And I say the word puzzle because in my mind, I'm trying to make sure that if I'm going to put a puzzle together, I want to aggregate and get all my puzzle pieces in a row. Because have you ever done a puzzle just to get down the end and go, I'm missing 3 or 4 pieces. Gosh, dang it. I spent all this time.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with wholesalers. They go down this process and they get to this point. They're like, I'm stuck. I don't know where to get the seller to move forward. And I'm like, because you didn't pick up all the pieces in the very beginning.
Right.
And so my job when I ask, catch me up to speed, is I'm gathering. Who are you talking to? Because other wholesalers as well that aren't trained properly, they get all the way down to the end, and then the seller says, oh, I'm going to list with my real estate agent.
Right.
I didn't know you were talking to a real estate agent. Right? That's
Yeah.
kind of a newer person that will run into those issues, or they decide to go with another wholesaler. Right? Why did I not know that other wholesaler existed? So for me, I'm getting all the pieces together. That could be who you're talking to, why are you moving, what are you currently running into, why haven't you moved already, and why haven't you accepted another offer? What can I bring of unique value to you?
Love it.
How can I show empathy to your situation and provide a unique token of value to you?
Yep.
That's essentially my goal.
Well, and I think it's important because, I hear it often, especially with people just starting out, that these sellers keep lying to me, or they're not telling me enough, or they're being real short with their answers or whatever else. I think it's because I know it's because you're not asking the right questions.
You're actually giving them permission to lie to you.
Yes.
That's in the very first 5 minutes, I always establish the fact that I know that you're talking to a dozen other people.
Right.
It's impossible in wholesale for you to talk to a seller that hasn't been reached out through text message, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So the person who wins is the person who brings all of the pieces to the table, figures out what kind of puzzle they're trying to create, and then helps that seller create that puzzle. So if you haven't asked real estate agent questions, wholesaler questions, or maybe even other investor, why aren't you renting the property out?
You told a fantastic story about your wonderful wife, Laura, really busting you down.
Oh my gosh.
After an appointment where you went in and you wanted to build rapport and you wanted to talk for hours and hours and hours, but what was the missing thing? I mean, really touch on that.
So I had an appointment, this is about 4 years ago, something like that I went to the appointment. I was there for 2 hours. I'm like, dude, this guy loves me. How many of you guys have felt this way?
It's in the bag.
Oh, I got this. This guy loves me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I didn't actually understand his whole situation. I just built rapport, talked about his thing. His wife passed away 5 years ago. What have you been doing since then? Rapport. Now I'm in the friend zone. Mm-hmm. In the friend zone, there ain't no money. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to be in the consultant zone where I make money. So I can be friendly, but I don't want to be your friend.
Right.
And so I don't build rapport. Anyway, so here's what happened. I go to that appointment. I'm feeling so confident. I call my wife, who was my transaction coordinator at the time.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, we're going to this appointment in 3 days. We're going to lock this guy down. We go to the appointment.
Calling your shot.
Oh, yeah. I got it. I'm calling the shot. But Babe Ruth, right?
Yeah.
It's going right field.
Yeah.
So my wife comes. We're there an hour and a half. We leave the appointment without the contract, and it's like another follow-up thing. And my wife says, you lost that guy 15 minutes into the appointment. I go, into this appointment? She goes, no, your first appointment. Mm-hmm. You didn't establish credibility. And that's the thing. So I don't build rapport. This is one of the things I teach. I don't build rapport by being friendly. I build rapport by showing credibility.
Yep.
I show credibility by aggregating the puzzle pieces, spreading them out, and sit with the seller saying, okay, I understand what you're trying to do here. Let me see what I can bring to you in terms of value. And that could be as small as, like, let's talk about a couple specifics on value. It could be, oh, you have all this stuff in your house. Why don't you just keep it and let me buy it with all this stuff in it?
Right.
Right? It's small as that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to trash out the house anyway. It doesn't really cost your end buyer that much more money.
Right.
So if you're going to wholesale it, just leave it in there. It could be that small. We all know about that. What about moving expenses? What about probate services? What about helping them find another place to go or helping them find a rental? I mean, those are 4 of maybe 50 things I could name on and on and on in terms of value that you can give to somebody.
Oh, I say there should never be an excuse. There should be all the little things that they send up, all the little objections for not taking action now. Because you know as well as I do, that time kills all deals.
Right.
Right? And if you can't get them to, if you can't shorten their ability to make a decision, then they're going to go with somebody else. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with somebody else that comes in with different solutions. And it could be just as much as, I don't want to leave yet because of all this stuff. I don't want to leave yet because I don't know where to go. I don't want to sell this yet until, I get a few other offers, right?
Right.
And they want to feel warm and cozy with what the process is going to look like.
That's another one too. So let's say a seller says, well, I've got all these offers coming. I go, great. How can I help you with that?
Yep.
I go, even if I end up not buying the house from you, I'd love to at least tell you whether these offers are credible or not.
Yeah.
Do they have the right earnest money? Do they have the right title company? Do they have the right, are they a one-page contract? Or is it written on a napkin? Let me at least, if I'm not the buyer for you, and very well may be the possibility I'm not a buyer for you, at least let me show you where there's a credible buyer and who's not.
Yep.
So if your job, which is to decipher all these offers, to ultimately make a decision, there's nobody better than an actual real estate investor to help you decipher which one is real.
And I think that leads into the second question is, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Right, 100%.
Right? What are you hoping to accomplish? Because we go in, we're like, well, they just want to sell their house for cash.
No, not even close to the case.
Right?
Right.
So what does that question open up in the minds of a distressed property owner?
So last night I did a seller call for one of my students, and he's like, she's on the cusp. She's ready to go. Can you please talk to her? I got to get her over the edge. I'm like, sure, I'll talk to her. So same thing, catch me up to speed. And I always play stupid. So let's say one element I got to bring up that we bring up on Wholesale Hotline all the time on Mondays is you got to squat up.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you are hearing us talk about, all these solutions and you're brand new, you don't need to have all the solutions. You need to know somebody in your local market who has all the solutions.
Right.
So go squat up. That's the one of the most important things ever. Go find a TTP student. Go find a sub 2 student.
Yep.
Go link up with somebody that's been trained by Brent Daniels and Wholesaling Inc. Otherwise, you're going to feel that intimidation of like, what do I have to offer? What you have to offer is a relationship with somebody who has, value, right? Moving expenses or whatever it may be, whatever the value is. So
Or just the experience.
The experience.
Just being able to understand if you're spinning your wheels. Because that's a tough thing. When you start out, you don't know if it's a deal or not a deal.
Right.
Right? And having somebody in your local market to squat up with, to run the comms, to understand what properties on busy streets go for versus properties that are, in the middle of neighborhoods.
Or one side of Thomas or the other side of Thomas Street or whatever, right?
Yep.
So I had somebody text me here in our local market, and they say, I have a 2:00 buy appointment. This guy has major problems. Can you come? And I'm like, bro, I'm super busy. I have my whole day planned out to like the minute.
Yep.
If you can push it to 6:00, I can make it work.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help people out. Even people at your level, my level, are always willing to help you, or have somebody on our team help you. Right. So I have a whole acquisition team like Tino and Zach and all these other guys and Nick that will go out on appointments to help people in our local market.
Right.
So don't ever feel intimidated. Wholesalers in your local market will want to squat up with you, and then they can also help you find a buyer.
Yeah. And like you said, find the people that are TTPer, Wholesaling Inc, Sub 2, Astroflip, whatever it is. Find somebody that is really serious about it, that is in these mentorships, these programs, these families, because they know we preach so hard to squat up because it works. It works. It's a win-win for everybody in that. It benefits everybody to do it.
It's so simple. I feel like it's like I'm going to high school because I'm just hanging out with my friends.
Yep.
We're like going to lunch together. We're having a good time. Like that's how simple it is. People want to overcomplicate it. You want to go in your local market.
Yep.
You want to go in. If you're a TTPer, you should go into the TTP Facebook group and say, my goal is to go create a bunch of problems with a seller that I am not equipped to get. And I'm going to ask my other TTPers to say, come help me, go to the appointment or go whatever. So I told somebody, big piece of advice I gave him this morning is I said, your job is to go create problems you can't solve.
Right.
And bring those to people who can.
Right.
You just need to broker problems all day long, right? So essentially, catch me up to speed, shows me all the puzzle pieces. I get the story. And then what are you trying to accomplish tells me what that puzzle is supposed to look like.
Right.
Now we can start assembling it and having a conversation. Okay, I see all the pieces. I see what you're trying to accomplish. Let's start assembling this together. Okay, so you got to go find a house. Like we've got a deal up in Colorado right now. Seller says, well, I can't sell until I find another property to move into. I go, perfect. So instead of jumping into price and negotiating with the seller, what I do is I get into a follow-up sequence of 2 or 3 months, and today we finally got him into contract. Today we got him into contract this morning because we helped him find a real estate agent where he wanted to buy. The agent found him a house. He then says, great, that now triggers me to sell all my other stuff. So value add. I brought value. I asked, what are you trying to accomplish? How can I participate in that? And then I went out and made it happen. We'll make like $100,000 on that deal.
Well,
dude, come on. Ring that bell, bro. Come on.
Ring that bell.
So amazing opportunities that we have, and all it is asking people, catch me up to speed in your process.
Yes.
I want to join your team, so catch me up to speed, right? And then also, what is this team? What are our team? What are we trying to accomplish? And now the seller's like, oh, this is my consultant. This is my guy.
Yep.
So I'm showing credibility.
Yep.
There's no amount of talks about your cat, your favorite color, what car you drove, where you're from, or any of that kind of stuff that will ever trump credibility in that fashion.
100%. And I think it's so important just to touch on, because in my head, when you're talking about, well, we helped him find a real estate agent that got him a place to do that. And in my head, I'm thinking, I revert back to when I started. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never talked to a real estate agent before. How do I know that I'm saying the right things to them and I'm linking them up with a good person that's going to help them out? And how do I make sure that they're taken care of so that this moves along? The answer is, and I found this, just do it. Just pick up the phone and call a couple real estate agents and see if they're willing to help out.
It's funny how all of this business comes down to one thing.
Talking to people.
TTP.
That's it.
It really does, and I say that to people all the time.
Yeah.
It comes down to TTP. So here's the script for doing anything you've never done before.
Yep.
Okay, here's the script. I call an agent. Hey, Betty Smith, nice to talk to you over the phone. My name is Pace. I know absolutely nothing about real estate, and I'm trying to help a seller. I'm hoping, and I don't know how this all works, but can you walk me through the process of what this looks like? I actually, ironically, would get further with that agent than if I called them and said, hey, my name is Pace. I did 21 transactions last month in September,
Yeah.
and I know everything about real estate, blah, 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 blah. The advantage is actually to the newer person because now you're falling on your sword and somebody's there to help you. So you have an advantage not knowing everything. Just TTP. Talk to people. Get on the effing phone and just say, I know nothing about what I'm trying to accomplish right now. Can you please help me? And is there a way for you to make money in this as well?
And if you say it in the right tone of voice, and if you're not just, trying to be powerful with them or trying to be, and then hang up, it'll work.
Right.
It works. It works. It works. It's just use your personality, use your talents to communicate, use your skills that you've used for years and years and years in whatever job or industry or parenting or whatever it is, or high school if you're younger, or college or whatever. You've had enough conversations, you've talked to enough strangers to pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing, but I need your help. Can you help me out?
Right.
And that solves so many problems. I mean, it's remarkable how many problems that solves.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's the same thing anytime I go to the bank. It doesn't even have anything to do with real estate. Like you're mentioning, like anything in your life, you don't have to know everything. You just have to take that step.
Right.
And that's, again, TTP. I'm like, people go, what's the one thing it comes down to? I'm like, TTP.